I'm so glad you decided to join us. I'm Stacy, and this is my husband, Andrew.
Hello.
And a few days ago, I asked you guys to leave us some questions that you might have for him. And some of you were kind enough to do that. So we are going to take one question, every week? You want to answer one question a week? That's fine? Mm-hmm. He's a little nervous. He's shy with the camera. But, okay, so we'll probably take one question a week and answer it and post a video to the group. So hopefully my goal in doing this would be that maybe you could get your husband to sit down with you and listen to it, and it might, help calm them just to hear from somebody else's perspective other than, a professional counselor or somebody who's never experienced infidelity firsthand. So, what I want to do is just give you guys a little bit of our story, because I know we have a lot of new members and some of you guys have not read my story that I posted when the group first began. So about 8 years ago, I had an affair. We were not doing well at that time, were we? We had been married for about 10 years, right? 10 years. We had been married for 10 years when the affair took place, and we were having a lot of problems. I was married before, he was married before. His previous marriage did not have any children, but I had a child from my first marriage, and we had quickly become a blended family. And when we got married, my son was real little, so it wasn't too bad then. But when he entered his teenage years, it got a little rough, wouldn't you say? So that caused a lot of trouble. I didn't really want him to parent my son, and we would fight about that. And he would work a lot, and he was just gone a lot from home, and I just got really lonely. I felt like we were becoming roommates and not, we wasn't really connecting, and I really wanted that connection and to have intimacy with him, and we just had completely grown apart. So I met somebody, and he said all the right things, and he did all the right things, and we had an affair, and that lasted a few months. I was actually at the point of getting a divorce, which you were not aware of. I don't remember. Were you aware of that? I had made an appointment. I was actually gonna go see a divorce attorney and get a divorce because I was done with him. I felt like I did not love him anymore. I felt like I didn't want to be with him anymore. My heart had completely turned towards my affair partner, and I wanted to be with him and spend my life with him. Or just at least not be with my husband anymore. So I canceled that appointment because I felt like I might still have feelings for my husband. I had, I had been a Christian since I was 20, and I knew God's voice. I knew right from wrong. I knew what I was doing was wrong, but I had felt like the Lord had told me to, come back home and give my marriage another chance, and things would be well. So at that point, I started really doing some soul searching and searching my heart and seeing how, maybe I have feelings for my husband. Maybe I'm just angry at him and I can't feel the love in my heart. I put up too many walls. So I decided to give my marriage another chance, and I'm just trying to make a long story short for you guys and just summarize. So I decided to give my marriage another chance. I broke it off with my affair partner, and we got back together. You did a lot of praying, huh?
Yeah.
And we got back together, and that began our 8-year-long recovery journey. And it was very long. It was worth it though. A lot of soul searching, a lot of changing. I had to do a lot of changing on my part. He did a lot of changing on things that he had realized he'd done wrong before the affair happened. But I can say now that we're through it and it's over and we have come to the other side, there is hope. There is hope to restore your marriage if both people are willing. Would you say that both couples have to be willing to work the work?
Absolutely.
it's a lot. It's a struggle at times, and it's hard, but it's worth it because now I love him more than anything in this world. I can't even imagine my life without him. I think back, I don't even know how I could have fallen in love with someone else. It's just amazing to me how far I've come and how far we have come. So now we have decided to make it our mission and our passion in life to help other people who have gone through an affair, other couples, other women who have gone through an affair, and help show them how that they can restore their marriage, they can restore themselves, and it can be, with God's help, better than it was before. You can actually experience a better life and a better marriage than you did before. So that's just a little brief story, about how we got to where we are. If you want details, if you would like us to do a video on our whole story, just leave a comment and we can do that. That's no problem.
That's going to be an 8-year-long video.
An 8-year-long? No, I think we could shorten it. Huh? Yeah. Okay, so not to make this video too long, let's jump into the questions. So the first question that we have is, does your husband have triggers anymore? So it's kind of like a 3-part question. So, do you have triggers anymore?
I would say no.
When did your triggers stop?
Took a while, probably a few years, maybe 5 years.
5 years? You had triggers for 5 years? Okay, so I'm asking him this because I really didn't realize this, because the second part of the question is, and if so, does he openly share them, or only share to a degree, or keep it to himself? So, and if you're not familiar with what a trigger is something that causes the person to feel pain again, or to bring back a memory, or so for instance, when we would pass the hotels that I stayed at, for me that would trigger the memory of being there with my affair partner. For you, that would trigger me being there with my affair partner, but we each have different emotional responses to that. So why didn't you tell me about your triggers?
There was no point.
Why not?
It didn't bother me that bad. I knew what happened, but I just look at it as a past relationship. Something happened there in a past relationship. So for me to dwell on it doesn't do me any good. And for me to talk about it with you just brings the memory up and the past up with you. So, and I can handle it without having to do that.
So how did you work?
Prayer and therapy.
How did you work through the triggers and without communicating them to me? How did you overcome them?
With prayer and with seeking God and realizing that was the past and there's nothing I can do. And so letting something like that trigger me would only keep me bound to the feeling of pain. And I didn't want to feel pain anymore. So I decided that I wasn't going to allow that specific trigger to affect me that way. So that's why I looked at it as a past relationship, and it's just something that happened. I cannot change it, and I come to the realization that that's something I couldn't change. I didn't like it, but hey, it was something that happened, and if I'm going to move on with my relationship with you, then I need to let it go. And so that's what I did.
Right. So you made the choice to say, so you're saying that you decided that our relationship was more important to focus on than focusing on the affair.
Yeah, because doing that's going to keep the affair alive.
Right.
At my point of view. So there's no sense. If we're going to move on, I have to move on.
Right, right.
If I expect you to move on, I have to move on. So if I don't move on, I cannot expect us to move on. So that's how I dealt with those triggers, and that's why I didn't discuss them with you.
Okay.
So,
That's great. it's how you did it.
Yeah.
We want to know. I want to know now that I didn't know, but we want to know how you handled it, because I don't think that every husband processes it in the same way, and some men tend to struggle because a lot of times we get stuck in the past, we get stuck in what happened, and that's on both sides. I got stuck in the relationship and the memories of my affair partner, and he didn't want to get stuck in, okay, my wife cheated on me, type of situation. He wanted to be free from that. And likewise, I wanted to be free from the pain of the having the affair, the memories, the missing someone, and getting over that whole ordeal. And I think we did that part kind of, we did a little bit separately, because I know for me, he would always tell me, we have to move on, and you have to process and work through how you're feeling. So that that encouraged me and helped me to say, well, hey, if you're doing it, and I know it was painful for him, then I can do it. I can move on. I don't have to stay here. Would you say that's right for how you think we process it together but separately?
Yeah, and I also, it took a long time. It wasn't something that I decided when it happened. It took a long time for me to realize that. But I also had to realize that I did things, I had to change myself for the relationship to change. So, there was things that I did that in our relationship before the affair, which helped to lead it to the affair. I wasn't the reason that the decision was chose to have an affair, but the way I acted in the relationship before the affair was not, I couldn't keep going that way and act the same way and have the same viewpoints and expect our marriage to make it, because it wasn't just going to go the same direction. So I had to realize I had to make a change in who I was and the things that I did, and look at myself and say, okay, I was being selfish. I was just looking at you to be the wife I wanted to be, when I was not willing to be the husband that you needed me to be. So through prayer and just really wanting to be with you, I had to come to the realization that, and separate myself from the feeling of what happened. I had to separate that, to know that I wasn't the reason for the decision to have an affair, but I was one reason that the marriage was not as good as it could have been. I was one of the reasons why the marriage was not what I wanted it to be and what you wanted it to be.
Right.
So that's when I had to come to the realization, I need to change. So triggers, to me, they can be a distraction. And triggers are very dangerous if you let them be, because they're going to just bring the hurt back and make me not like you and not like the decision and just be focused on that. I don't need to be focused on that. So that's the danger of allowing triggers to keep you bound in that hurtful situation, and that's what keeps your relationship from even having a chance to grow and to get better. So my advice would be, you can't help your feelings, I understand that, but you can make a decision within you to say, well, I'm not going to allow these triggers to rule my life and rule my relationship, because your relationship will not work if you can't get over the triggers. So that's my advice. That's how I looked at it, and that's how I overcame triggers upsetting me to that point, because my relationship with you is worth more than that. So I have to be strong enough to get through that.
So let me ask you a question.
You just did.
Can I ask you another question?
Sure.
Okay, so let's just take a trigger, a specific one, and walk me through what would go on in your mind. Okay, say we passed in front of a hotel and you knew we stayed there, and then all of a sudden the trigger of, oh my God, my wife and this other man stayed there, and this flood of emotion is trying to come in and hit you with this and bring you into its zone of, I'm mad, she slept with another man, she's at a hotel, it wasn't me, all those feelings that come with triggers on the betrayed spouse's side, and it's trying to suck you in.
Right.
How did you at that moment make that decision not to give into those
because
feelings?
the decision was made before that happened. So I made a decision, so I had to remind myself of the decision when a trigger would present itself, and I knew there was a threshold I was not going to cross. And I had to remind myself, this relationship and rebuilding our marriage is way more important than taking a journey down that road that I don't even want to go down.
Right.
So for the betrayed spouse, it's very important that if you want your relationship to make it, you have to make that decision within yourself to not allow these triggers to take you so far down the road where you're sabotaging your own self. So if you want your marriage to work, you cannot go down that road. And will you be perfect at it every time? No, but it will get better. It will get better the more you can control it. I mean, it's like coffee. I'm drinking coffee. I control how much coffee I drink, right? I don't have to finish this cup. But if I want to, I can. I can drink as much as I have in my pot, right? But I am in control. This coffee does not control me. I am controlling what goes inside of me. Same thing with the triggers, the same exact thing. You can do it. It's not impossible. I did it, and trust me, I was in a bad spot for a long time. And when I realized that, and I realized that I can help control how far I go down these roads until I just don't even go down them anymore, the better. And that's where I come from.
So basically, you're saying you can't live by what you feel.
Of course not.
Can't let
Feelings
your
lie, man.
emotions control you.
Your emotions, if you live by your emotions, it will kill your relationship. It will kill any chance you have of making it.
Right.
So
Well, I mean,
what's more important?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it's easy. It wasn't easy for me, but I did it. You take one step, one day at a time, one trigger at a time, and you realize you're in control, and you do what you can do. And focus on your relationship. Focus on your marriage. Focus on your wife or your husband. That's where the focus should be.
Right, I agree.
If that's what you want, that's where your focus needs to be. Less of triggers, less of all this other junk, and more of what do I love about my wife, what do I love about my relationship. I want my family together. Those are the important things. And guess what? The spouse that had the affair is still the man or the woman that you loved and married. So do you want them? Do you want your relationship? If you do, it's imperative you have to make this decision or you will not make it. You have to. Total forgiveness. And look over the walls. Right? And that's how you start rebuilding trust, right? So if you don't get rid of that stuff, you can never rebuild trust and you'll never love again. Never love that person again.
That's right. So how do you see our relationship now? I know how I see our relationship and how I see you now. I'm asking, how do you
why don't you share that with everyone?
me now? Well, I did. I said that you were the love of my life, and I can't live without you. And our relationship is so much better. It's so much better than it was before the affair, and it's so much better than what I thought the affair was.
Well, I agree too, because I've come to realize what's more important. I've put my focus on us more, our family more, and not being selfish with all the other things that I could have in my life. And you know what? It's okay to have toys and have fun and go do the things you want to do. It's okay, but you have to have a balance. I did not have a balance before at all. I just wanted to do what I wanted to do. I wasn't worried about family functions or doing anything with you or our kids, and that was totally wrong with me. And I realized that, so now I still like to do some of the things that I enjoy doing, and I do them. But there's a balance, and I spend most of my time with you and our children, and I agree with you 100%. Our relationship is better than it's ever been. So it can be, if you want it to be. You have to prioritize that and make it that. You know, because bottom line is, we all have thoughts, and no matter who you're with, you're going to have things and struggles, and you're going to go through things. So why not rekindle the love you have for that person already, and make a life and make a good life with the person you know and you want to be with, especially if you agree, you know, you had an affair, we're going to go through this and we're going to make it, we'll do it. Because the next person you run across may have worse issues. You know, everybody has stuff, and you're going to go through things with them, and if you run, if your status quo is easy, well, I'm going to just run, well, you'll run away from that person too.
Right.
So we already have a family. I loved you. I knew I loved you. You know, so we both agreed we was going to make it work, and that's what happened. And now that's the best decision I think I've ever made.
Yeah.
You know, my love for you is greater than it ever was. It's true.
I know.
You know,
Mine too.
and the trust is 100% that. You know, I don't think about that. I don't focus on the past and what happened. I just focus on how God fixed it and where we are now and where we're going.
Yeah.
You know, so, yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm tearing up. He has a way with words, guys. He really does.
Well, it's true.
So that was our Q&A for today. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got some questions answered. I hope that this will help you guys put some things in perspective.
And so there was a lot of questions, right? So I'm trying to put it. I'm just saying, for everyone, at least everyone knows we looked at a lot of questions, and we kind of combined some questions. We're not going to be able to answer every question, so we try our best to combine them together and pick and choose which ones we do have time to answer and how we can best answer them. So
Right.
if you do have if you have a question and we don't answer it
In one video.
in one video or another, we probably will. And if we don't, even if we don't answer it on a video, just send it in to her, and I can give a quick answer if it's a quick question. Because some questions are maybe just a 30-second answer or even a 5-second answer. So, you know, if we don't answer the question that you sent in specifically, feel free to message her and she can ask me, and if it's just a short answer that I can answer on the fly, we can do that one too. So
Right.
you're not being ignored.
Right, that's a very good point. I want to stress to you guys, if you find yourself in a emergency situation and you don't know who to call or who to ask a question to, and you really need something right now, do not hesitate to text me or message me. Don't hesitate to do that. I will get to you. And like he said, if it's something for him, I will ask him, and we will try to help you guys work through it as fast as we can and as best as we can. We won't always have all the answers, but we are available to at least try to help you walk through the steps or calm a situation down. So, we decided to make this our mission in life, and we just want you guys to know how important you are to us in your marriage and helping you restore it and restore yourself. So please don't hesitate to reach out to me.
Because we thought our marriage was over, no chance.
Right.
And here we are.
Right.
And don't take this as counseling. You really need to seek counseling if you're not.
Yes, we
because
strongly
they can
recommend
go through
counseling.
the details, but I can tell you, we can tell you some of the decisions we made and how it worked out, but it goes a lot deeper than that. So if you're not currently in counseling, try to find a good counselor. And if you can go to Christian counseling, if you're a Christian, that'd be even better, because they can give you more insight and help.
Right.
But don't give up.
Yes,
Never
don't
give
give
up.
up. Keep fighting, even when it's hard and
Yep.
you feel like, oh my gosh, I shouldn't have recommitted my life back to you. Just keep going.
Because the more I went, the worse it got, and finally a breakthrough. So
Yeah.
breakthrough's there if you want it.
Yes, it is. And Guys, I'm trying to get him to start a group for men, so let's keep praying and, you know, keep encouraging that he'll start his own Facebook group for the betrayed husbands, because I feel like they could really use his advice and his perspective. So I just want to thank you again for joining, and I hope we covered everything, and we will see you again next time. Bye.
Bye.